So you want to start a conversation with people, because the chances are, if they're on the site, they've downloaded your information, they are probably looking at a solution. They're probably looking at your competitor sites as well too. And you want to make sure that you're top of mind all the time as they're doing their research. This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nik Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right. Well, let's move us along to our main topic for tonight. So my topic tonight is to discover what makes a high converting lead generator website. So, and for those that don't know me, I've been in the web space for probably, what have we got? Been online since 79. So that's probably going to date me. Actually, there was no online then. That was just when I first touched a computer. But I have been online since the early 90s and have been in the web development field for about 20-something years. I'm not going to tell you what the something is, but it's 20-something years, and have seen lots and lots of changes over that time. Most significant change is that things have got easier. There are more tools available today for free or at very low cost. So the sorts of things that we were paying, hundreds and thousands of dollars for years and years ago, you can get for like 20 and 30 bucks a month these days, and a lot more powerful as well too. So tonight really is about a website. Now, has anyone chucked a website into chat here? Yes, no. Just looking to see if anyone's been bold enough to throw up their website here. All right, got one here with Neil Hockey. Let me just grab that and we'll open that. Anyone else wants to have a look at their website, you can feel free to throw it into chat now.
Yeah, Ron's got his there.
Sorry?
Ron has his up there as well.
Has he? Okay.
I think.
Let's just see if I can find that. Just scrolling through chat now. Okay, there's a few more coming up. I'll just grab these links now. All right, and we've got jodybrooks.com.au as well. Perfect. Okay, and we had, all right, there's Fred. Okay, Geraldine's Academy. All right, and Ron's was up here too, was it? Let's have a look, see if we can find amongst the links. Actually, I think Ron's is just a Linktree one. Is that right, Ron? It's not your website. Yeah, I think it's just that Linktree.
Oh, right, the website is in the link there.
Oh, it's in the link, is it?
Okay. It is in the link, yeah, but
okay.
It's still very basic at the moment, so there's not a lot to look at.
That's all good. It's all good. Oh, here we go. Our website. Perfect. Okay. All right. So let me just subline some of these up. Excellent. Okay. And I'll bring that across. Yeah. No. All right. So while I'm doing that, I do have a question for you. And that is, what do you think the primary purpose of a website is? So we're just going to forget membership sites, directory sites, those specialist sort of sites. We're talking about your business website. What is the main purpose of your website, do you think? What's its job? Making money. Yep. Definitely making money. Yep. But there's a role in before that as well too. So that's a little further down the track.
Lead generation.
And this is the website's purpose. So what was that, Fred?
Lead generation.
Lead generation. Absolutely. That is 100% its job. So once it's done that, you can almost put your website to bed and say it's done its job there. So it's all about bringing in leads and inquiries. So that often happens before the sales. It is about providing information for people, but at the end of the day, you don't want people leaving. You want them to leave their, at the very least, their email address. And the reason for that is that if someone comes to your website and they don't leave their email address, how do you know they've been there? And how do you know what they're interested in? So, and a lot of websites are set up so that people come in, have a browse, they have a look, they leave. They may still be interested in, your products and services, but there is no way for them to be able to connect or contact. They may not be ready to phone you yet. They may not want to leave a message in your contact form. So once they're gone, they're generally gone forever. They generally won't remember your website address. And so if they leave, you have lost them. So the idea of the website is to capture the people that are there so that they leave their footprint, which is their address, that you capture that at the very least. So yes, lead generation is the number one priority for it. Even e-commerce sites. So I see this mistake all the time. E-commerce sites need to be thinking first and foremost about capturing email addresses before they make sales. Because if people don't buy today, you need a mechanism to be able to communicate with them to let them know that you're still here. So I'm going to give you a couple of what not to's at the moment. So let's have a look at the websites we've got here at the moment. If I can find my sharing screen, here we go. All right. And what we might do is see if we can find some examples in here of some of the not to do things, not to embarrass you at all, but just really to give you some ideas as to what you can do to improve it. All right. All right. So the very first one is no sliders. So sliders are things like this one here on aliandron.com. So what sliders are, sliders or carousels, is they're moving images on your website, normally sit above the fold on the front page. Quite popular in websites, and people quite like them, particularly website owners like them. The problem with it is that they are very poor for conversions. So they look good, but they don't convert at all. And so if you want to find out why that is, just Google the term "why sliders suck." It really is a search term, and you'll find heaps of information about, and these are studies about sliders. You'll find heaps of information about so why sliders just don't work for conversions. Actually, probably this top one is the best one, by Yoast, who is an SEO expert. So the problem with it is that with sliders, this is your primary real estate, and we'll talk about what should go in there. But with sliders like that, definition of slider is there are images that keep moving, so one after another, and they may have text on it or separate text on it as well. Problem is that the user is not controlling their experience. If you set the slider to move too quickly, then they miss reading the information on it. If you set it to go too slowly, then they're waiting for the slider to go through, and people read at different speeds. Some slow, people fast readers, so you can't keep any of these people happy at all. The other reason too is that you're mixing your messages. So when you've got sliders, you've got a number of messages in here. So mixing those messages sort of confuses people. So if you want to really confuse people, give them a choice of 10 things and tell them to pick one. So, this is in the physical world as well too. You'll find that a lot of people won't be able to make decisions. They'll and ah. But if you give people a choice between two things, they're more likely to be able to make a choice. Or if you just present them with one option, then it's either just a yes or a no. So rather than having a slider up on your website here, it is far better to have what they call a hero image, which is an image that represents the big promise or the transformation that you're offering people. So with your product and service, there will be a major transformation that you're offering most people, or a big promise that you're offering out most people. So So for Ron and Ellie's side here, I think there's an expression you use all the time. What is it about the 50s? Like your life begins after 50, or you're not on the scrap heap after 50? What is it, Ron?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the best is yet to come is really the catchphrase. Yeah, yeah. So
your best years are ahead of you, isn't it?
Inspiring over 50s to discover the best is yet to come. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. So I can see down here, you've got this one here, helping over 50s to live a healthy, happy, abundant and meaningful life, inspired and excited that the best is yet to come. So that there is, that's your big promise.
Yeah.
So you'd move that into, over the hero image area. And then you would have a call to action, which would be, find out how, learn more, book a consultation, download something, watch a mini course, something there that starts to engage in there. But that becomes your big promise, that you're providing people in, who come to your site.
Cool. Appreciate that feedback. I was just experimenting with sliders last week actually, and stuck this up. But getting that feedback is perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Well, now it's time to get rid of it and put a
that'll be gone by lunchtime.
Yeah, that's it. There's a couple of things you need in that hero area too. Is one, you need to address who is it you're serving. So you've got that here, helping over 50s. So over 50s is your target market.
Yeah.
And then what's your promise? And here's your promise: to live a happy, healthy, abundant, and meaningful life, inspired and excited that the best is yet to come. And then, so that's the second thing you have. So it's who it is that you're aiming for, what's your big promise, and then your call to action. And so that's, watch now, book now, learn more, discover, those sort of things there. Now you can have two calls to action up there. One of the calls to action can be what we call your primary call to action, or the one that where you really want to direct people to. So like if you're selling or wanting people to enroll in, let's say, a webinar, that might be your primary call to action. Or if you're wanting to book people into a discovery call, that might be your primary call to action. The other call to action you can have up there, and there could be two buttons that sit side by side, is you think, what's the step before that? For people that are not ready to commit to, say, watching something or downloading something or having a consultation, for instance, what's the step back from that? And so the step back from that may be, sort of downloading an ebook. It might be sort of to discover something or to learn more, but something that doesn't involve engaging directly with you yet. So you might have one call to action that engages with you directly. The other one, which is where they can sort of grab something and consume it in their own time anonymously. So one's anonymous, one's not anonymous.
Right. Excellent.
All right, so that's good you had that slider up there, because I was hoping someone would, so we can talk about it. But definitely go to if you Google why sliders suck, then and have a read through it. They'll talk about the experimentation and sign behind it all. And here you go. Here, only 1% of people have a slider, so the conversions are very, very, very low compared to having sort of a good, strong, solid call to action in that area there. The other thing that goes with as well too is, and I'm really pleased to see that there's none of that happening here as far as I can see. Yep, is excellent. Is things that move and bounce and pop on the website. So that's a bit of a trend, particularly with some of the page builders that are around now, is to have things that sort of drop and bounce and pop and all that sort of thing. That there, it looks good, but again, it's a distraction for anyone coming to the website. Really what they're here for is the information that's on your website, not the fancy stuff that is happening on the website. They're not really here for entertainment. If they wanted that, they go to the movies. They're really here for information and really often to solve a problem. So they're looking often for a solution to an issue or a problem that they've got. That's how they've often found you. So so don't be tempted into sort of getting some of those moving graphics and that sort of thing there. One thing you should have is a video. So I can see that what have we got? Eco Easy Composter has got a video there, how to install and use a Compot, which is perfect. So that's a great example of a video there. We're on the home page. This is the product that you sold. Immediately, you've got a video there showing people how to use it. That there is a far more powerful video than some of the videos that people have on the website, which is welcome to my website. So you should never have a welcome to my website video there, because people are already at the website. They don't need to be welcomed there. And if you step into their shoes, what is it that they want? What's the problem they're looking to solve? That's what you have in your video. So you're not introducing yourself. You're showing them how being here is going to solve their problem or their issue, or that got the solution they're seeking for themselves. All right. When it comes down to calls to action, what do we got on here for calls to action? We've got a register for a newsletter. All right. So that one there, register for newsletter, that's another one of those things that I say, if you've got that on your website, time to move it on and get rid of it. The reason for that is that nobody wants to register for another newsletter. So newsletters are a dime a dozen on the website. No one wants more emails. They were good when websites first started out. Good things that are quite specific niches and quite narrow specific niches where people do want to get a newsletter. So, for instance, one of the newsletters I get is a coding problem a day. So it's a website with coding tutorials for building websites. And it is a problem a day. So I'll send you a problem a day. So that's sort of like their newsletter. But for a site like this, the idea here, the other thing about newsletters too, just to say as well too, is how many people here have decided that a newsletter is a great thing to do. They put a subscribe to newsletter on their website. They've never written a newsletter. Yep. So a few of us, some of us might have written one newsletter, and come to the second one, we get too busy. So that's the problem, is you are creating a lot of work for yourself that you don't need to create for yourself, and you are probably not going to get around to it. This was true prior to the internet, true in internet age too. So newsletters create a lot of work that you don't need. So instead of that, you're far better off to have something that solves a problem for the visitor that's there. So rather than say register for a newsletter, you could have something like it's on a site like this. What do you use a composter for? You could have some composting recipes, for instance, to grow particular herbs. So there might be a recipe for compost. If you've seen my compost, you know that I have not followed a recipe at all. And so you can actually provide some recipes about how to compost. So what you'll find there is, one, you'll get more people that leave their email address for that, and generally people that are downloading something like that are interested in creating compost for their garden because they've downloaded a recipe for it, or I suppose you call it a recipe. So you can have your top 5 recipes, or top 10 best compost to make, and so you can get people downloading that. Now the good thing about that is when people subscribe to a newsletter, it's pretty generic. You don't know what they're interested in, but if they subscribe to or they download your 5 best composting recipes, you've got a pretty good idea that they're interested in making compost, and you've got a pretty good idea that they're interested in gardening as well too. So when you're collecting these email addresses, they should go into a CRM. How many people here have got a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool? Just give us a show of hands. Great. Perfect. Those that didn't have their hands up, that will be your job tomorrow, is to get a CRM. That is your most powerful tool that you will ever have in your business. And it should be a must. Every time a website's built, it should be connected to a CRM. Reason for that is that when you connect a CRM to your website, these email addresses that you're collecting go into CRM. And you can do what they call is tag the people in there. You can tag them for what they downloaded, what page they're on, when they visited, how long they spent on your site. So you get lots and lots of information in your CRM. But if they're downloading, your recipes for compost, then you can deliver out deliver out that PDF through the CRM. And then you can queue up a whole lot of emails in behind it. So you don't want to be just sort of sending out the download there and that's it. So you want to start a conversation with people, because the chances are, if they're on the site, they've downloaded your information, they are probably looking at a solution. They're probably looking at your competitor sites as well too. And you want to make sure that you're top of mind all the time as they're doing their research. So what I would do with something like that is, the first email you send them would be to download the ebook, with the recipes. The second one would be you would have an email which might say, go into what the first recipe that you had in the ebook, what sort of plants you grow with that. So, what it's best for. So you might sort of have a whole description about, what plants grow best with it, what times of year, and some information how to use the game. Two it could be this video that you've got on the homepage. So there's no reason why you couldn't send that out. Or you might have another video which is showing, how to create compost. It might be, maybe what composting equipment to use, and obviously, and you can do a roundup of composting equipment. So in this website here, we've got the easiest composter you'll ever use. So I would do something like, which would be a comparison between, the Tumbler Tumbler composters that you get from Bunnings, the ones that sit in the corner of the garden, the home built ones, all of and why those ones are such hard work. And so you make the comparison so you can see how easy this one particular solution is. So people are looking at all sorts of options. Then you help them to point towards this one. Then you might have a case study as your next email, which could be maybe one of your clients or customers that have a sensational garden, use the product there, created some fantastic compost, what they did, maybe even include their own particular recipe they use for it. Or if they're like me, they don't have a recipe, just everything goes in it. And you can do an interview, a case study, that sort of thing there. And then you might, what else have we got? You got some gardening articles in here as well too, composting articles. So all of these articles that are in here, no reason why you couldn't pull these out and actually use them for email as well too, because the chances are people may not have read all of these articles. So you can reuse those in your autoresponder email campaign as well too. And the reason why we're doing, and it's all set on autopilot. So once they download it, that triggers off, the 15 emails that you've got queued up in there to go out. And towards the end, and in the middle, you might start to make an offer in your emails for the products that you've got here. So, you can make an offer. You could have a package deal, a special, or even just a link to come and buy the products from the website. But the reason why you do it is that it's automated. And you get people who will download it, and that kicks off the series of emails. You don't have to do anything more. The problem with writing newsletters or sort of thinking about phoning people or sending out emails when people have done something on the website is you have to remember to do it. And a lot of people get busy, I know that I do, and just forget to do these sort of things. So the more you can automate on this, the easier it becomes, the better it is, the more leads you're going to get, and the higher your sales are going to be. Does that make sense? Just give us a thumbs up if that's all making sense there. Great. Okay. All right. So that was the videos, CRM. What else have we got here? And we have talked about.
Nick, can I ask a question in that space before we?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul. Yep.
I take note of everything you talked about with the carousels and the likes. And I personally, I can't stand just seeing meaningless photos, even though just for the sake of having a pretty picture. I do have a carousel on mine, but it's loaded with interactive videos. So If you see one goes past and it's written on the front of it, you can click on it and play that video, whether it's a video testimonial from somebody or something like that. Is that a bit better than just having the little nice pictures?
It is better because you've got sort of a multimedia, a video sort of medium in there. But I would say, is that at the top of your website?
Very top, above the fold, and it's right next to the video of me introducing the business and solving the problem for you.
Have you got a call to action up there as well?
Not right there, no.
Okay,
Because
so that,
underneath that, there's a short description of the various services that I'd offer.
Yeah.
And
So
each of them has a call to action to find out more about that service, whether you want to do a conference or something.
okay. Yep. So you've got a range of services that you're offering,
They're all
and
video, but different types, yeah.
yeah, and people will select whatever service that they happen to be interested in. So I would experiment with that, Paul. I would move that carousel down and then just experiment with a hero image. Probably for you it would be, your hero image probably would be a video, like you would have a video playing. Yep. And possibly look at, if you think about generating leads, I would do something about what are the top, whether it be sort of 5 critical things that people should consider before they get ready for video.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, because what you'll find is you'll have some people there that are considering video. They're sort of just looking around at the moment. They're not in the space to buy right now. But if you can get them to download that document, then what you can then go and do is you can follow them up with your automated sequence and say, and you can ask them a question. I would ask them a question. What sort of event are you looking to for your video? Is it a conference? That sort of thing there, and ask them to reply. So you will actually get some replies back when people do that.
Yep.
And then if you do get those replies, then you can then segment them in your CRM to, let's say someone wants conference videos. So then you can just sort of start to send them videos on conferences and case studies and that sort of thing there. So I would experiment with that there, really just to build your lead list. So not making sales, build your lead list.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yep.
And in fact, that brings me to another important thing, and that's to think about 2 words. This is fundamental to your lead generation. If you get this right, you will have an abundance of leads and you'll never have to scrape and scrounge for them again. And that look to solve people's immediate need. So their immediate need. So what that means is let's say someone is coming to a website to buy or to inquire about, who have we got here? Let's just have a look at some of those websites again.
Sorry, Ron here. Nick, sorry, I have to jump off early tonight. I've got another webinar to join. So thanks for your comments today, and I'll pick up any other comments on the replay.
It'll be up on YouTube. So, yep, good as gold.
Great.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Nick, and
All right.
everybody.
All right, let's just have a look at these websites again. All right, so we've got, can you see Geraldine's Academy there? Hopefully I've got that on there. Yep. All right, so this is online courses and projects for Genome machine embroidery enthusiasts. All right, so this is probably quite a good example. So you think about what people's immediate need is. So this is online courses. So I'm just reading that through, Fred, so I get an idea of what it's about. Okay, topics can cover machine embroidery, applique, quilting and hoop. Okay, so this is quite a specialist niche website. So I'll be looking at a lead generation thing is what is people's immediate need when they arrive at the site. So what that might be for this one here. So they've got a Genome machine. So an immediate need is maybe not what you're selling, but it's an issue or a problem that they want to have solved, right now. So, and it can be before they get to buying what you've got. So let's say someone arrives here and they're looking to sew, but they actually don't have a sewing machine. So they want to learn how to sew on a sewing machine. So there's two possibilities for an immediate need. One is what machine do I buy? So how do I decide what sewing machine to buy? So obviously this site here is for Janome machines. So an immediate need would be, say, something like a guide or a checklist to download to help you to choose the machine that is going to be ideal for you based on what it is that you're going to be making. So an immediate need. Another immediate need might be, if they do have a machine, and you've probably got some feedback about this as well too with people that come to the site, is what are the biggest problems they have with the machine? Not being a sewer myself, it could be the thread gets stuck. How do you unstick the thread on a machine? That might be an immediate need. Or what setting should I use for a shirt, for instance? That might be an immediate need. So you're thinking about what can you give away that satisfies an immediate need that they will leave their email address for to get it, and then you can start your conversation. So this is like them buying, and when you start that marketing conversation with them through the CRM, then you become their best friend because you're starting to give value and you're starting to solve some of their problems. So who are they going to go to when, if they're looking for, more advanced training on sewing, but to the person or the business already that has already provided them lots of value for free? Does that make sense? So does that sound like it's on the right track?
Yeah, all good. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, happy with that.
Yep. What is it? We've got the studio, masterclass, Edge Club. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. So think about immediate need. Who else have we got here? Let's see if we can find another one. Actually, I know someone on this happens to sell wines. So if you want some great wines, then you've got someone here from Mount Nathan Winery. Have I got that right, Rebecca? So an immediate needs for wine might be what wine goes with the dinner that I'm serving tonight. What's the best wine for fish? What's the best wine for meat? What's the best wine for vegetarians? And what's the best wine for romance? So that might be an immediate need there. So think about that there. When people are coming to buy wines, they might be just coming to search your wine store. And if they're like me, I have got no idea. I just look, is it red? Yes. If it's red, it's mine. So then the next consideration is how much. But there is a risk there that someone like me might not know the site, and I might not know the wine. So I might actually sort of have, lo and behold, Dan Murphy's open in another tab, shock horror. And so I might be looking and comparing those as well too. So if you have on your website like a guide there for choosing the best wine to go with the meal that you are preparing or for the occasion that you are buying it for, then a couple of things happen. One is they download it, you've got their email address. Two is there's this principle of psychological reciprocity. And that means, and this is probably a good example too, if I go to the bar and I go and buy you a drink, then you feel obliged to buy me the next one. You wouldn't let me go out and buy the next round. You would go and buy the next round. So that's called psychological reciprocity. If I give you something, you feel that obliged to reciprocate that next time round. So in this sense here, if you've given the people information that's going to help them with their choice of wine, they're going to reciprocate that by more often than not buying the wine from your site. Does that make sense? A really good example of this is Bunnings. And I wonder if I can pull it up and show you. Bunnings have got a great website for this. And this is a really good lesson for all of us. Bunnings have got lots and lots and lots of videos on their website. They've got a good blog there as well too. Let's see if we can find their videos. Let's try and find this here. And I know the site where I learned to construct a gate, I learned to build a fence. All right, I can't really find the videos here now. It's still coming up here. No.
Then there was the link at the bottom of that page said, let's keep in touch.
Was there?
Yeah,
Oh.
for your email.
Okay, I think they may have that. Oh, hang on, here we go. Find a track your order, returns to products, gift cards, catalog, Bunnings magazine. Bunnings magazine is good. What do we got? Services. No, can't find it here. That's right. But in there, you can probably Google sort of things like how to make a gate. There we go. See if it'll come up and search. There's my attention. Got it. Here we go. How to build a gate DIY at Bunnings. And okay, so this is just given their YouTube site. Because that's just come directly off YouTube, but these are also on the Bunnings website as well too. But what they do in these videos is that they have instructions here, in this case here, how to build a gate. They're good, they're detailed, they have someone demonstrating it. What's more, they're demonstrating it with the tools that Bunnings sell. They're demonstrating with the equipment or the materials that Bunnings sell as well too. And you can walk out with a shopping list of what you need to build a gate. So you can take that along to Bunnings and you can say, this is what I need. And you can get everything there at Bunnings. You don't have to go to a number of different stores. You don't have to go to Mitre 10 and try and find the equivalent that they were talking about in the Bunnings video. You go there and you get exactly what was in the video. So if you can produce videos like that on your website, which and these are free, by the way, for them, and they're really sort of just demonstrating the materials that they sell, then that one there gives a great opportunity to increase your revenue. But it doesn't do anything for lead generation. So the one step that I would, and that's probably this will be not Bunnings' objective. They're not into lead generation. They're into sales. They just want people into their shops. But for a smaller business, I'd be looking at lead generation. Is that you would put in front of the video an email capture. So say here give us your email address and we'll send you the link to the video on how to build a gate, for instance. So think about your products and services. Again, that may work well with the sewing machine website, having sort of some how-to videos in there, which start to entice people in. And it would work with probably this direct composter, or the composter. So videos would be great for that. And you can have, even in that one there, you can have videos on, how to grow various types of vegetables and herbs and preparing soil and ground and all that sort of thing there. Winemaking, you can have videos on how to pour the wine. Apparently there's ways of being able to pour wine to make it taste a whole lot better. I didn't know that, but apparently there is. I just put it into a bottle and shake it up. But so you can think about, what are the common things that people don't know about that they would like to know, and also what is their immediate need. Making mulled wine, love that. So there's a really good one. So yeah, that great suggestion. All right. You could demonstrate 5 minutes of a lesson via a video. Yes, you can do that as well. So you can have a taster as well. Or the other thing too is to pick up very small parts of your program, your course, your product, or your service. Show people how to use it. Show it in its entirety, so they could walk away and do what it is that you show. What you'll find is that will bring people back asking for more. So, for instance, Fred, I would think on your site, let's say one of your things, and I'm not sure whether it is or not, but one of the things is how to make a shirt. So, if I was to make a mini video on that, I would do something like how to create the collar on a shirt. So, you're given a detailed video on how to make a collar, but you're not showing them how to do the rest of the shirt. and you send that to them. And then, for the next video, it's, that they subscribe to the monthly program, or, however that program works. So
Yeah,
there's
a tab up the top on that site that takes them to free videos.
okay. Yep. So you've got some of that already. Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
a free video, free tutorials.
Free tutorials.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. So you've got some of that there already, which is great. Remember to put a call to action in the video as well too. So if you've got those, it's great. Or a call to action around the video, or if it's going out with your email marketing, a call to action in your email marketing about what's next. So you've solved their immediate need, and then the next thing you've got to do is to answer the question, what's next? So if you remember that.
Quick interjection here. Is it Fred? Is it where you have your link there says free tutorials? Put the word video in that heading, in that title, whether it's free video tutorials or free tutorial videos, because people will see that and they'll go there.
Yep, good suggestion. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now I've forgotten, damn it. Fruit.
You're waiting too long.
Yeah, exactly. What was he talking about before that Paul mentioned that about the videos? Damn it.
Was that about sort of the mini videos?
Oh, yeah, that's right. So do you think it's worthwhile? Because you know how on YouTube you can make your videos public or private?
Yep.
So if you make them private, I make mine all public because to me, that's what gets people to my website, watching my videos. But is it worthwhile making some of them private? And that's what people get when they sign up, so that you have a series of private videos that nobody else can access unless you sign up. Now, I don't particularly like that idea, but I do wonder whether that would work better.
If your model is a subscription model or a sign-up model where you want people to pay for the videos, then and it's part of, let's say, a membership site, or it's a course, then by all means, except you wouldn't make them private, you would make them unlisted, because if you've got them private, then you can't actually embed those into a website to be watched, so they'd be unlisted.
You just put a link in an email, send an email with a link to the video.
Yeah, you could do that too. Yes, you could do that as well too. Yep. And in fact, what's better than just a link is to get a Giphy maker. So, those little GIFs which are like moving pictures with a video icon on it. So it looks like a YouTube video. And then you put the link on that GIF. So when the email goes out, people see what looks like a video, because you can't embed videos into an email. So you embed a GIF into it, which is moving as if the videos are talking. So it might be the first 2 or 3 seconds, and then click on that, and then that takes them through to the video.
Okay.
I would also embed the video on my website rather than taking them through to YouTube, because if it's on your website, then you can have your calls to action around it as well.
That's true, but it's not as good doing it that way. It uses up too much power on your website, so you're better off having a link from YouTube to your website. Otherwise, and if it's done right, it'll be cached on a site off of, like on Amazon. If you've got an Amazon hosted site, they have all your readily cached items on a completely different site, and so the link on your website goes straight to those sites, and it's super fast, and it's much faster and more efficient than embedding it on your website.
Yeah, that may have been true.
Not quite true.
Yeah, I was going to say that may have been true a while ago, but it's not quite true now.
There's a
So with YouTube now, what happens is when you embed the video on in your website, but it's hosted on YouTube, it actually plays on YouTube servers. So it's not playing on your website. So you lose very little of the bandwidth. So I would be going to put it on your website rather than a link through to somewhere else. Because if you've got a link somewhere else, you lose them. You've got no opportunity to put your call to action.
I do that, but I have at the end of the video, it doesn't stay on YouTube. It stays on my videos.
Okay, that's because you're using YouTube. Now if you don't mind me adding another little thing in here, YouTube is really great. We love it because it's the second biggest search engine and it's owned by Google. So it's great place. It's the greatest place for your videos to get found in search. But on your website, as a professional, and you're a professional because you've got a website, embed it from Vimeo, not from YouTube, and you have complete control over what happens to your video, how it's presented, how it looks, and what happens. Most importantly, what happens when it's finished doesn't show you 9 pictures of someone else's business.
But how does Vimeo, how do you search for Vimeo videos then? You know, like,
If you want your videos found in search, yes, you still put your video on YouTube because it's a search engine. But when you want to display it, as is in embed
I see what
it
you're
into
saying.
your website, you embed it from Vimeo
I see.
because it is more professional and it doesn't take you to your competitors' websites or their videos when you, or aeroplane crashes or whatever, when you're finished.
Okay, I get you.
So Vimeo, you don't. There is a free level, but it is far better working with your website than YouTube, and it has that Giphy creator that Nick talked about a moment ago built in there as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does too. Yep. So yeah, absolutely concur with that. That's Vimeo is what we use for all of our private videos that we want to control. So yeah, thanks for that, Paul.
Yeah, I've got hundreds of videos on Vimeo. I've got a couple of dozen on YouTube.
Yep. Yeah. So all of our public ones that we're happy to have out there and sort of have links back to the website, all on YouTube, all the rest of them, all on Vimeo. So 100%.
Yep.
One little trick for YouTube as well, if you've got your videos on YouTube, if you want to get a link back to your website, make sure that in the description, the very first thing in the description, you have a link to your website. And so that link starts with https://. So you put the whole thing in there. And when you do that, it becomes clickable. So if you just put your domain in, it's not clickable, but you put the https://, very first thing in the description. And then you can, you've got a backlink back to your website that people can see and can click on. All right, so
I'm just going to put an example into the chat, just a link. You can look at it later. It's some work I did for a car dealer, or 2 car dealers up the road, and this was their idea of engaging with their new car buyers. It's a 5-minute video on how to change a tyre.
perfect, excellent. Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, because that's a really good example of an immediate need.
Particularly if you wrap it up in the problem, how the problem hurts you, and here is a solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paul,
Okay.
while you're there, mate, I just want
mate.
I'll put a note there for you in chat. Just a couple of things I noticed about your website, mate, that you might want to have a look at
Sure.
at your leisure. It's just back up there and chat a bit. So I just thought I'd bring that to your attention just while I got
Okay.
you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks.
I know it's got a few issues.
You're right. You're right.
All good websites are only ever 80% complete.
Yeah, but a mechanic doesn't service his own car. That's the problem.
Right. All right. All right. So any sort of questions so far, any comments so far that on anything I've covered at the moment?
I have a question from way back when. I'm not sure
Yes.
if it not make much sense anymore.
That's right.
When you first started showing the website, you said that people don't want to go to your website and listen to a video about you.
Yeah.
I'm a mortgage broker, so one of the things I sell is me. So
You do? Yep. That's a really good example. So you've got 2 things that you're selling there.
Yeah.
Because you're in a really competitive market, there are
No,
mortgage brokers.
not at all.
So yeah, you'll find a mortgage broker on every block. So you really have to. So it really is about building relationships and how do you stand out? How you're different to everybody else in a way that is meaningful to them, not meaningful to you. The second thing is people's immediate needs when they get to a site, a mortgage broker or a bank site. What is their immediate need? And it's probably not that I want a loan. So that's what you're looking at. So so immediate needs can be things like, Yeah, we use. I had a mortgage broking company for 10 years, so I'm reasonably familiar with the industry now. but we like in the early days of the site, we had the 5 dirty secrets that the banks don't want you to know. So that was one of our ebooks that got downloaded. In fact, that got downloaded a lot. So
I can imagine.
because can you believe people think that banks are into dirty tricks?
They have a lot
know
more
it's
than
hard to
5
believe.
now, though.
What's that?
There's a lot more than 5 dirty secrets now.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, a lot less than you think, actually. But yeah, go on.
Yep. The other thing
You
too is
negotiate around them.
yeah. The other thing too is you think about, and this actually leads into the last section that I've got here is about where people are in their customer journey and their buying cycle. So they're going to get to your website at different phases in their buying cycle. So for some, you might get some there that want a pre-approval to go and buy a home. You'll get some that are first homeowners and they've got no idea what to do. So their immediate need is, what do I do? Where do I start? So their immediate need is help, give me some guidance, sort of thing.
Yep.
You have to think it may not be a phone call to you yet, because that's a little bit threatening, to actually, because they might actually try and sell you something. So
and you don't want to sound stupid as a customer.
Exactly.
Mm.
So this is how people think. May not be true, but that's how they think. And so what you do is it's really sort of a slow entry into it, where you give them some information that really sort of helps them on that phase of the journey. So, and really some valuable information. Once you've got their email address, then you've got a process there to be able to follow them up. So the important thing is just getting that email address. And once you've got that, that's where you establish your point of difference as a mortgage broker. You're not going to do it with a video on the website. That really is just an introduction to you and yourself and your values and maybe how you help people. But really where you start to establish where you're different is by providing a whole lot of valuable information after they've signed up. So you could have an email sequence that might be sort of like 30 emails covering various things like how to spot a rogue real estate agent, when they're trying to sort of, get you paying more than you really should. What are some of the tricks and tactics they use? What are the things that the banks do that try and lock you into that are not necessarily in your best interest? Or it might be why fixed rates are bad for you and why you should always be on floating, or vice versa. Those sort of things there. So you start to think about giving them that sort of information, and what happens is that as you're delivering that, then their trust in you starts to go up. So that's how you demonstrate your point of difference. So you're not going to do it on your website, you're going to do it on your marketing afterwards.
Yeah, because you basically, they're going to go, wow, this person's giving me all this information. I haven't even actually spoken to them. You're building up that relationship with that person and, satisfying their need for information.
Exactly. Yep. And if you think about, let's say they put a contract on a house and they've done the thing where they haven't actually got the finance yet, no pre-approval. But if they've done that, no one would ever do that. No, of course. So, and if they're going to decide, if they're Googling mortgage brokers, then think we need a mortgage broker. It's like, who do I go with? All these people here that I don't know, or do I go with the one that's actually giving me a whole lot of really helpful information? So that's really what works for you in your favor.
Yeah.
Cool. So again, your website's job is only to introduce you to people, to bring in those leads. Your job after that, and the CRM after that, is to develop your credibility, reputation, and how you can help them.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So that really brings me to this model here. All right. I'm just wanting to. Okay. Yep. So on here is this is a customer value journey, or sort of a customer journey. Every business has one of these, and people will enter your businesses generally at the beginning, and they'll work through this sequence of events or engagement on the way through, and at each of these here they have an immediate need as well too. So if we have a look at the bottom left-hand side, where the yellow square, that's the awareness phase. So this is where they introduced you. So it might be an ad, it could be they've seen you on social media, they found you through Google search, someone's told them about you, and so that's what that's like, they had no idea who you are. Now they know you exist. So that's typically where people focus when they think about lead generation, and you should, and your website should really be skewed to dealing with those people there and offering them something that's of immediate need for them as well. Now when I say immediate need as well too, every page can have a call to action, or can have a let's say download or lead magnet, which deals with an immediate need for them on that page. So you don't need to be stuck with just one lead magnet. You can have one for every page, or one for every service. It sounds like a lot. I mean, I'd start with one, but then you could you could build up your repertoire. So you've got one for every page. And so once they've discovered who you are, they might have downloaded something, then they might go and this can happen in a matter of minutes. So they could be there sort of for just in one session. They could then go and read a blog, a post, watch a video, maybe sort of click through to social media. And then they go and opt in to receive gated content. Now, gated content is where they have to, enter their email address. So they're going through this phase here. They've seen you, they've become aware of you. They go to your website, they read something on the site, something there that engages them. They think, I like this, I want to know more. So they then go, give you their email address in exchange for that they want. So from there, today, they may or may not make a purchase today, or book an appointment, or a consultation. So it's really in that sort of stage there that your emails kick in. So they've downloaded your opt-in, which is that square on the bottom right-hand side, and then the arrow that goes up to making a small purchase. All of your emails are helping them to send them back to the website or send them to a transaction. And then once they've purchased, then they get some value out of that transaction. Well, hopefully they get some value out of it. They've drank the wine, they feel the effects, they feel good about it, so they've had the desired effect there. So, and they've got a good taste in their mouth. I think this is a really good wine. I'd actually like some more. And so once they've bought off you, then you can start to offer them your core offer. So your core offer might be, in a winery, might be a subscription program where they can get delivered wine on a regular basis. So that might be your core offer. And you might have an upsell. You might sort of upsell a sort of dessert wine or a port or something like that. You might upsell. You might have another upsell. So that's really where they are customers now. So they're your clients and customers that are embedded in your business, and they keep coming back time and time again. And those ones that are happy ones, if you look at the top middle square there, they're the ones that are happy to give a testimonial, or you can create a case study around them. So case studies are really, really important. So we were talking about the mortgage and finance industry. It's probably one of the most important things you can do for credibility is having case studies and testimonials. It's other people speaking for you, rather than telling other people how good you are, rather than you telling people how good you are. People don't believe what you say, but they believe what other people say. So case studies absolutely critical for most industries. Collecting them. So if you can collect them on video, good, or if it's just text, image, pictures, that's great too. You can use those case studies in your emails as well too. And then what happens is your customers become advocates, where they go and actively tell people about you without even being prompted. So that's your customer journey. So really what you need to think about is when someone gets to your website, if your website's job is to generate leads, is to get them to leave their email address, think about what is their immediate need. So where are they in this process? What's the immediate need that they need to have solved? And then give them that for free. You can always upsell, something else later on, but you give them that immediate need for free. And then your process is to communicate with them via CRM, and you can do it through social media too. So social media's got things like, and Google have got things like retargeting and remarketing, where they keep on seeing you again and again and again and again. But for most, but you know, that costs money. For most cases, you can achieve a lot of that with your email marketing through your CRM, all set up. You know, without, you know, once it's all set up, you don't actually have to touch it. It all just happens automatically. And then your job is just to go out and become famous and visible so that people can keep coming to your website and say, who is this person? I need to check them out. Let's come to their website and find out you know, more about what they're doing and what they're offering, and to get them to leave their email address and building your database. So one thing I would say is, and I would reiterate this strongly again, is a website and a CRM are two things that are designed to go together. So you need to have both. If you don't have both, you are losing so much money that it will make you cry if you realized how much it was that you are leaving on the table. So if you don't have a CRM, my recommendation is to go and find one. If you need any help with that, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you with, you know, sort of a choice of CRM. Each industry have different needs in terms of CRMs as well too. So what works for one industry may not be suitable for another industry. So it is about choosing what's going to be the best thing for you. All right. So, all right, what do we got? If you give them too much, that's a good question, Joe. If you give them too much information, won't they just take it and go elsewhere to their friend down the road? Yes, that is a risk, and they may do that. But the other thing too is that that principle of psychological reciprocity. That's the first thing, and there's a bit of fear that kicks in as well too. So by stating your position and giving that information, they take it to their friend down the road, and the friend gives them contrary information. Then it sows a seed of doubt in their mind as well too. So you know, they can come back to you and ask a question, they can go to their friend, but it's like, you know, that doubt is a good thing. And if you've given them enough information, that will bring them back to you as well too.
Just, you mentioned in your flow diagram there about testimonials.
Yep.
And I have strong views on that. To the point where I even have a whole page on my website dedicated to video testimonials, because I question how much you can rely on written testimonials. In fact, the only one that I have on my website is the one written by me that says, I am the greatest video producer of the whole of the Southern Hemisphere. Isn't that true? And would you believe that if you saw that written there?
That is the problem with testimonials, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not
Yep.
when you have a person who's willing to stand up in front of a camera, identify themselves, their business, if they have one, what their problem was and how you solved it for them.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I completely agree, Paul. I think video testimonials are extremely powerful for that perspective, because credibility is obviously the main issue at hand there. I think where written testimonials are used, they should be used sparingly, and perhaps a maximum of 2 down on the, you know, below the fold somewhere, just to get people thinking in a positive manner. But certainly people aren't going to go, I want to know whether this business is good, and see something that's written, because they don't know who's written that. So yeah, that video testimonials is great. Yeah. So I've just put the link into the chat, but you know, if anyone's interested in just learning more about how to capture a video testimonial that'll work for you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's really good. That's absolutely perfect. So I would 100% concur. Video testimonials, it's to dispute. And the one thing I would say about testimonials too, it's good to have them on a page on your website, so that it's like overwhelming. When people get there, it's like an overwhelming sort of view of testimonials. Also think about using them throughout your content as well too. So where it fits your content and it supports your content, then using a testimonial there is a really good way to back it up. So, you know, you've got the text on the page and then you've got someone else talking about that. Actually, that text is actually true. That was my experience as well.
Yeah. And different testimonials for different products or services that you offer.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. All right. That's brought us to the end of the session today. I covered some of the things I intended to cover. I covered most of the important things. There is a lot more as well too. The key takeaways, you know, for this here as well too is a couple of things. One is your website and your CRM. You must have both. and they must be connected, and you must have some form of solving people's immediate need when they get to the website. If you do that, your lead generation will skyrocket. It will absolutely sort of go up. And think about your customer journey. Your customer journey doesn't end at your website. That's where it starts. A lot of people think their customer journey is all encapsulated in the website. It's not. This is just the first date. And then from there, that's where your CRM starts to develop the relationships and take over. And then you step in and, you'll bring yourself in. Yep, so the telephone coming in and you're making that direct connection. So you're moving from highly automated through to, sort of getting towards personalized right through to an individual conversation. That's the flow you want to go through. All right. So any questions, comments, anything people are unsure about?
There's some gold in that chat, so make sure you save it.
Oh, good point. Yeah, if you go and click those three little dots at the bottom now, you can actually save that, so you've got it. Thanks, Paul.
Just me.
Oh, Jody. Yep.
Yeah. The initial video on your homepage, I always thought that you had it above the fold that slowed your website down.
No, not if you're using Vimeo or YouTube.
Okay, cool.
It's the above the fold. I'm just hard to type an answer to your question. Above the fold is what you see on the screen before you have to go hit a scroll bar. Because if you have to hit a scroll bar to find your most important piece of information, those that don't bother, you've lost them. Your introductory video is one of the most important pieces, so definitely above the fold.
I've noticed a lot of real estate agents with new websites lately, they've got all this crap about scenery and dinners and...
Yeah, it's just flashy advertising.
Yeah.
It's entertainment. Doesn't that feel good? But do you want to entertain or do you want to get people attracted to your business because you can solve a problem for them?
There are lots of web developers out there that are sort of targeting the real estate industry because they perceive they've got a bit of money to spend because they spend money on marketing. Yeah. They may not know the truth that's may not be the case, but that's what they think. And what they deliver are those flashy websites with all of the bells and whistles on it that are vanity. Really for vanity, so that the person that owns the website thinks this is a really cool website, but in all effects, it just does not work. You will find a lot of those websites do not work. And sometimes the best websites are the ugliest websites in the world because they're very functional and they do a particular job. And I would guarantee they're doing things like solving the immediate need of the person that arrives at the website. So you can have the ugliest site in the world that if it's got the right information, it's going to do a way better job than a pretty
ugly under that classification.
Yeah.
I've got to read you.
I'm a technical person, not an artist.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Sorry, who did I cut off then?
No, that's all good. All right. Well, look, that's our session for tonight. If you do want to get in touch and have a look at your website, I'm more than happy to offer a review and an audit of your website. So if you want to look at what you can do to improve your website in terms of the conversions, in terms of the sorts of things that we've talked about tonight, more than happy for you to organise a time with me and go through that and give you some suggestions for it. Let me just pop into the chat here a link for that. Now I do not have unlimited time, unfortunately, so it is a first in, first serve basis for this. So that'll take you through to my calendar. You can go and book it in. And what would be helpful for me too is when you do book it in, put your URL to the website in there so that I know what I'm looking at, so I can prepare in advance and have a bit of a look at it in advance. A couple of outcomes with that is one, you might need to find that the worst case is you've got to throw your website out and start again. But usually for most people, it can be some tweaks and some changes and things that will really start to improve the website so that you're generating the leads and it's actually doing its job. So feel free to click on that, and if that's going to be helpful for you, and more than happy to help there. And I think that I was going to offer a prize tonight, but in fact, that is the prize. So that's open for everyone. All right, well, that's our session for tonight. So let's give a big round of applause to the speaker. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nik Cree, spelled Nikree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.